How's it going out there? Welcome to Stock Talk with Mike. Today I really want to talk to you about Unity software. They're known for their 3D engine that's for developers for creating mobile, PC, as well as console-based video games. It also has a bunch of other applications. I want to talk to you about why I think it really is a good long-term buy. And at the time of filming, their stock price is under a lot of pressure after reporting Q4 earnings after hours. So I want to talk a little bit about that and why this could be creating a really good buying opportunity for Unity. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to the channel. And also, it'd be great if you could like this video.
Games can actually communicate stories in a very effective way and get me to feel something quite profound in a way that I thought only really good films or really good books could help me feel.
But basically making games is really complicated. Speaking from experience, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's super hard. It's part of the reason why it's fun as well.
In Unity, you can basically do anything.
This is one of those points in time where you shift from creativity is to some extent restricted by having the money to be a company to afford to make something, to, oh, actually, this creative medium is available to everyone. Game engines, it's a tool. It's a tool to make and monetize video games. For years and decades, really, if you wanted to make a game, your only option was to work for a company and you could use their proprietary technology. Or you would have to pay, insane amounts of money to license a game engine that existed. Unity really lowered that barrier to entry.
I think that's something that really stands out about Unity is that they have something for every type of developer. Just a quote here from Unity. Ubiquity is a key driver of our success of our development platform. We have built our platform for the widest possible audience. Experienced coders can work close to the metal, while casual creators can build a game with our visual scripting interface. So if you're a casual developer, you can get a subscription with Unity and have access to their platform to build out a game for, maybe it's a mobile game that you're going to launch on the App Store. Or if you're working for a larger publisher and you want to launch a game for one of the major consoles like Xbox or Sony, that's an option as well. They go on to say here, Falconeer, a game built with Unity, was a standout launch title hit for the Xbox Series XS console, and over half the Nintendo Switch titles are made with Unity. And this really stood out to me. This was just recently released. Games made with Unity account for 71% of the top 1,000 mobile games in Q4 of 2020. So they're majorly gaining market share. I read an article that was just back in August of 2020, and that number was 53% of games. So think about that. 710 of the top 1,000 games are made with Unity. The Unity platform is best known for the development of video games, but it's also used in construction, in engineering, it's in the film industry, creating online casinos, advertising, and even virtual augmented reality classrooms. I love that they're in these other verticals because I think there's an unlimited upside as they push into, say, education or advertising. And they mentioned here in their Q4 as well, our efforts beyond gaming gain momentum in 2020. In Q4 alone, we began relationships with Newell Brands, Walgreens, and Liberty Productions, which is a film production studio. They also mentioned here that they've expanded their architecture vertical, so moving into construction. Now, construction engineers can access augmented reality and virtual reality functionality on site on tablets, laptops, and smartphones. I don't think this is baked into Unity's price at all right now. I don't think people are considering these other verticals that still have tremendous amount of upside left, in addition to the big growth they're still seeing in gaming. Unity just reported earnings on Thursday, February 4th after the bell. When I'm recording this video, I'm going to release it on Friday morning. And they reported earnings of a loss of 10 cents per share. Analysts were expecting a loss of 14 cents per share adjusted. So that was a beat on earnings. And they reported revenue of 220 million, and analysts were expecting 204 million. So that was a beat on revenue as well. But looking at the stock after hours, it's down quite a bit after reporting. So they were up on the day about 1%. And then immediately after reporting, the stock actually sold off quite aggressively, down over 11% per share to about $133 a share, at least at the time of recording. That's about 25% off all-time highs. So if they beat on earnings and revenue, why is it down? Well, as you see this headline here, Unity stock falls after gaming software company forecasts slowing revenue growth. So I think this is a case where they're a bit of a victim of their own success. Since coming public early in the fall, the stock's been on an absolute tear. There's really high expectations. They provided some guidance for next quarter, Q1 of 2021, as well as full year 2021. The guidance for revenues next quarter is 210 to 220 million, pretty in line with where they were currently. And for the full year, 950 to 970 million, which would be 26 to 32% on the quarter, and full year 2021 would be 23 to 26% revenue growth. Really nothing to sneeze at. It's actually directly in line with what analyst expectations were. So, and this is just guidance. I mean, they can always beat, but I think analysts were a little, based on the price action of the stock lately, I think analysts were expecting maybe some increased guidance rather than just in line. So again, this is one of those stocks that been on quite a run and just been kind of priced to perfection and fairly expensive. So I don't think it's totally surprising we're seeing a bit of a sell-off, but I think it's a bit of an overreaction as they actually just reported a pretty great quarter. Our goal is to build a company that delivers revenue growth of approximately 30% over the long run. They don't give a time frame, but I would take 30% year over year growth for the long term any day. So revenues on the quarter were 220 million, as I mentioned, which is a 39% increase. Full year 2020 revenues were 772 million. So 43% year over year revenue growth for Unity. I think another thing that might have spooked investors is that the Q4 revenue is only up 37%, whereas the previous quarter, Q3, was up year over year over 50%. But that doesn't mean necessarily there's a deceleration. You can't just look at the headline, right? Like you look here, you have to look at the comp. So Q3 of 2020, they had revenue of 201 million, but look at Q3 of 2019. It was kind of a crappy year. It was kind of flat, or a quarter. It was kind of flat over the previous quarter with 131 million. The previous quarter only 129. Then look at Q4 of 2019. They actually had one of their biggest revenue growth quarters. So that's the new comp that Q4 2020 was being compared against, that they had 37% revenue growth. Look at this trajectory of revenue. It looks pretty good. It's not a deceleration in revenue. And as I mentioned, they do trade quite expensive. You can see here, Unity trades at about 57 times sales. I think when you watch this video tomorrow, it might be less than that, but it does trade quite expensive. I have a really small position in Unity that's done quite well, but it's really a laughable size position, maybe a quarter of my typical core holdings. So I'm actually seriously considering loading up tomorrow if I can get it still in the 130s. We'll see what happens pre-market. So I really do like Unity here. I think it's a great gaming play, probably with that most upside for growth. Some of those larger traditional players in the gaming sector like EA Sports, Activision Blizzard, Take-Two Interactive, fantastic companies, but we are seeing a bit of a maturity in their markets where revenue growth just isn't accelerating like it used to, and it's slowing down a little bit. I mean, EA just reported, I think 5% quarterly year-over-year revenue growth, and the quarter before it was negative. So they've slowed quite a bit recently. Activision actually just reported fantastic revenue growth. So I like what I'm seeing there. And then Take-Two Interactive is going to report on Monday. I plan to do a video covering all three after Take-Two reports. And I do like these companies, but I just think that we're seeing a bit of maturity. A couple of them are even starting to pay out a dividend. So I just don't think you're just going to see that massive explosive growth out of them like we have historically seen moving forward. For Unity, I really like their augmented reality, virtual reality components of their business and the vertical integration in all these other industries. I think there's a lot of opportunity that they can grow into these other segments. That's about all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, happy investing.